After being announced earlier in the year and delayed a month from its initially projected date, the new SEGA AGES initiative has launched on the Nintendo Switch. This line of releases come from a studio called M2, who are certified technological wizards. You may not be familiar with their name, but you might be familiar with their work. They were responsible for the Wii U's Game Boy Advance emulator, the Rebirth titles on WiiWare for Konami, and the delightful Sega 3D Classic series on the 3DS for starters. Basically, they're known for meticulous attention to detail in re-releases, great informational supplements, and general all-around badassery. As a big fan of their work, I was quite interested to see the SEGA AGES name rise from its grave under their care once more. For many on the outside looking in, it may have been easy to write off the announcement of SEGA releasing yet another version of Sonic 1 and some other titles for the millionth time. However, a closer look yields much more interesting results. So in this video, I want to talk about the SEGA AGES releases of Sonic the Hedgehog and Thunder Force 4 to help you decide if these standalone purchases are worth your money. I'll quickly note that both games feature custom new manuals, both of which are accessed in what seems to be a built-in web browser application. For nostalgia's sake, it would have been nice to see the original manual scanned in as supplemental material, but I understand their omission, as both releases have features that need to be expanded upon somewhere else anyway. In addition, both games come with their own custom wallpaper border on top of a shared library of basic borders. I usually turn these off in releases like this, but found myself using the custom one for both titles for a change. The usual scan lines, CRT filters, dot-by-dot aspect ratio, stretch views, and all you're used to seeing are also here. It's nice to see them after they did make it to the NES releases Nintendo also put out this month. Okay, I guess I'll talk about Sonic now and stop putting it off. Sonic the Hedgehog has sold about 40 million copies across its seemingly 40 million ports to other consoles. In addition, approximately 40 million people on YouTube have given their opinion on Sonic 1 as a game. Chances are, you've played it and you know how you feel about it, and don't need to know how I feel about it as a game. So let's cut to the chase on this one. Frankly put, while Christian Whitehead's beloved mobile remake still stands strong as the definitive way to experience Sonic 1, this version is a very strong contender in its own right. It lacks the true 16:9 display and is still prone to slow down in some spots. However, it is still a faithful... port isn't the right word, as some new code was added in, but it is a faithful... whatever it is. I couldn't begin to tell you how many versions of Sonic I've played where the music is off or sound effects bug out to a point of annoyance. I'm happy to report that doesn't happen here. I did note a few lingering sound effects that played a second longer than they should have, but past the time they are supposed to play, they dipped to being so quiet that I had to strain to hear them. Simply put, they were in no means distracting or disrupting my experience. 2's 3D Classics version of Sonic 1 added the Spin Dash, which has made its way here as well. In addition, the Drop Dash from 2017's Sonic Mania was also retrofitted to be part of Sonic's moveset here. Personally, Sonic Mania destroyed my ability to play classic Sonic without a Drop Dash, so I am immensely grateful to see it here. It feels a little more powerful, and unfortunately both of these added moves open windows to a few gameplay oddities. On the whole, however, they are both immensely positive additions that will help some recent Sonic fans enjoy this release more, and help fans like me who have played too much Sonic 1 do so again in an interesting light. And if all of that sounds like a hassle to you, you can simply turn it off in the options menu. Easy peasy. Another feature carried over from 3D Sonic 2 is Ring Keep mode, which halves your rings every time you get hit. It's basically a feature co-opted from modern Sonic titles to make things less frustrating. It's a nice extra way to play the game, but nothing too wild. A surprising oddity in this release is a seemingly ill-conceived time attack mode that only comprises of the first Green Hill Zone act. I suppose I would rather have a one-act time attack than none, and if you were only to have one act, I suppose you'd choose the first stage in the game. I'm just at a loss with regards to this inclusion. It has online leaderboards so you can compare your times to others just for Green Hill. It's so odd. A thankfully more notable feature is the inclusion of the arcade version of Sonic the Hedgehog. I consider myself pretty knowledgeable about the series, and even I didn't really grasp that this existed. This version is different from the home release in that it omits Marble and Labyrinth Zone entirely, which by default might make it my go-to Sonic 1 experience in the future. Each act has a time limit that counts down instead of up, making sure you are playing efficiently to beat it. It's really great to have this in an official release, and certainly helps make this additional release of Sonic 1 more notable. If you don't have a smartphone, or just don't like the touch controls of one, this is basically the best re-release of the original game, and I recommend it. If you're sick of Sonic 1 by now, the arcade version might be worth the money, but I'd suggest maybe saving some gold coins through Nintendo's rewards program to apply to this as a discount, perhaps. As for something I can recommend with much less qualifiers, the other game headlining the SEGA Ages launch is Thunder Force 4. Or Lightning Force Quest for the Dark Star if you're in the States. If you happen to hate the name, you can simply change the region once loaded into the application. However, for Switch icon purists, what you get is what you get. You'll probably need to buy the Japanese version to have Thunder Force 4. Thunder Force 4 is a side-scrolling shmup from the Genesis era, first released in 1992. I'm very bad at this genre of game, so I tend to shy away from it, but after putting some time into this one, I can confidently say that the game is awesome. I feel like this is the game where it finally clicked for me, and I enjoyed dodging incoming gunfire, missiles, and enemy ships as I hunted for power-ups to make me feel more and more like a badass. It didn't hurt either that I was playing on the included Kids mode. Condescending as it may be, it is an easier way to play the game where you don't lose a weapon when you mess up. This, alongside an included slowdown reduction option, made it a smoother experience for a first-time player like myself. I want to get better at Kids mode so I can graduate up to the actual game. For fans, this release also includes Sticks mode once you've beaten the original game, which replaces the ship from this game with the one from Thunder Force 3, as well as all of the power-ups from that title. This is lost on me, of course, but I'm sure fans of the series will appreciate this twist on 4's experience. Now, this mode was actually included in a Japanese Saturn-only release, but making it more accessible to fans across the world is only a good thing. A final option to note is that you can toggle between the game's voice lines pausing the background music or not pausing the music when a voice is used. This seems an inanely minute configuration, but it's the kind of thing I love M2 for. I'd wholeheartedly advise giving Thunder Force 4 a shot, even if it's not your type of game. I went in expecting to die a lot and not enjoy my time, and while I was right on the part about dying a lot, I certainly enjoyed myself more than I anticipated. Between its great soundtrack, satisfying power-ups, and impressive visuals, it won me over. I'm particularly fond of how this level here looks, it's just very striking to me. Sonic 1 was positioned as the headliner here, but Thunder Force 4 might be the true star of the show, even if it boasts less original features added for this release. If you're already a fan of the game, Sticks mode and having the game on the go might be enough for you. But if you're a truly avid fan, it's a bit tougher to recommend based solely on the newer features. It essentially just boils down to an easier version of the game, on top of an additional mode you may have already experienced through emulation. That said, if you're an avid Thunder Force fan, you probably already purchased this release anyway. So that's a wrap on the first two SEGA Ages releases. Overall, this is a solid start to the lineup. Deep in my heart, I find myself missing the extra supplementary odds and ends M2 tends to include, but overall these are strong contenders for the best version of either game yet. Sonic 1 doesn't quite get there, but it's close. If you're looking for some retro goodness on your Switch and don't find the $8 price tag to be too despicable, you should definitely add these to your home screen. Thanks for watching this review, and if you'd like to see me cover future SEGA Ages releases, let me know in the comments down below. Take it easy. This video was quite generously supported by this list of patrons. Thank you very much.